Yes, students, welcome back to the online video lectures. Last lecture, we have discussed all the basic formulas to find regression coefficient B. Now, students, in this chapter, whenever a sum is considered, we have to obtain regression line of y on x. Now, to obtain regression line from the given data, we have to obtain or calculate constants b and a, and after finding constants b and a, students, we have to substitute the constants b and a in the regression line, and students, we obtain the required regression line. So today, students, my approach will be to demonstrate the application of the formulas which we have studied. Recall, in the last lecture I told you the regression line of y on x is given by y cap is equal to a plus bx. Then the formulas to find regression coefficients b and a are as below. Now the first formula to find b was sigma x minus x bar into y minus y bar upon sigma x minus x bar the whole square. Logic to remember the formulas of b, I told you two logics. First, only x term will come in the denominator, and second, students, square roots never comes in the denominator. So this is the logic to remember the formula, students. It can be easily memorized, and the most important thing, numerator part is exactly same what we had in correlation. So numerator part of the formula, students, we can very easily remember. Now, students, I am showing the application of first formula, and generally the first formula is applied when mean x bar and y bar are integers. Now let us check section C, sum number 9. Student, this formula we have to remember. So now I am doing section C, sum number 9. From the given data, x bar is equal to 10, y bar is equal to 25, sigma x minus 10 means x bar and y minus 25 means y bar is given as 120, and sigma x minus x bar whole square is given as 100. Find the values of constants a and b of the regression line of y on x. So students, this formula, so here for the time being I am erasing this statement regression line of y on x. I am noting down the given information, students. Section C, sum number 9. So given is x bar is equal to 10, y bar is equal to 25, sigma x minus 10 into y minus 25 is equal to 120, and one more information, sigma x minus x bar whole square is given as 100. Find the values of constants a and b for the regression line of y on x. So students, x bar and y bar you can check, both are integers. As x bar and y bar are integers, students, we are going to use the first formula to find b. Now remember, in this chapter, throughout the chapter, students, our first target will be to find b and second target will be to find a, because we require b to find a. Be careful, students, our first target is to find b, and students, our second target is to find a, because we require b to find a. Now due to less space I am not writing the statements. We should write the formula to find regression coefficient b is as below, and we write this formula. Now students, I substitute the value in the formula. So check, sigma x minus x bar. Mind you, x bar is 10 and y bar is 25. So numerator is 120 upon sigma x minus x bar whole square. X bar is 10. So this is 100. So this answer is 1.2. And substituting this value of b and x bar and y bar is 25 minus 1.2 into 10. So this will be 25 minus 12, and so this answer is 30. So we got the values of a and b. This is how, students, we apply our formula number 1. Very simple, very easy, students. The only thing is to memorize the formula, and students, based on formula we have to apply. That's all. Now demonstrating the same fact, question 8 of section D. Students, I am doing randomly the sums in the sense that I am picking up the sums of similar formula. Just try to get me the same information for sum number 8, section D. Now here I am erasing this, because here you can say x bar and y bar are different. Section D, students, sum number 8. Now for two related variables, sigma x minus x bar whole square is 80. X minus x bar whole square is 80. Sigma x minus x bar into sigma y minus y bar is 60. Okay, x bar is 8 and, students, y bar is 10. Now you can check what we are asked to find. Obtain the regression line of y on x. As I told you, once again, students, I am reiterating, in every sum of this type, the regression line of y on x will be y cap is equal to a plus bx. This is the first step. Second step, the formulas to obtain constants b and a are as below. So here I have written the formula of b. Now we are substituting these values in the formula. So, students, check. Sigma x minus x bar into y minus y bar is 60 upon 80. So this answer is 3/4, and that is 0.75. Now we have got b. So substituting y bar, b and x bar, we get a. Y bar is 10, b is 0.75 and x bar is 8. Now 3/4. So 3/4 into 8. So it will be 6. So this is 10 minus 6. So the answer of A is 4. So after getting, students, B and A, the last step in the sum, the regression line of y on x. Regression line of y on x is y cap is equal to a plus bx. B is 0.75. This is your final answer. This is the sum which is asked for 3 marks in exam. So remember 4 steps in the algorithm. First step to do the sum. The regression line of y on x is y cap is equal to a plus bx. Second step, note down the appropriate formula of b, students, based on, you can say, the given data. And third step, write the formula for a. Now substitute and get the answers for b and a. And finally, students, we get the regression line. Now, students, I am doing sum number 13 of section D. Sum number 13, students, you can check while doing the sum. Now here, again I am changing this data. 1 this again and change it. Section D, sum number 13, students 1, 3. Now, check what is given. The data is written in a word problem, students, and this type of questions are significantly very important. Students, the data is written in terms of word problem and try to understand and interpret. The following results are obtained for a bivariate data. Particulars x and y. Number of observations are 8. So I am noting down here n is equal to 8. Now mean for x is 100 and mean for y is also 100. So mean x bar is 100, mean y bar is also 100. The next important thing, sum of squares of deviations taken from mean. Sum of squares of deviation. Deviation from mean x bar for observation x is x minus x bar. Square and sum, it means sigma x minus x bar whole square. Deviation of observation from mean y bar for y is y minus y bar. Square and sum means sigma. But students, here we do not require sigma y minus y bar the whole square. So I am only summarizing for x, sum of squares of deviations taken from mean. Squares of deviations taken from mean and sum is denoted by sigma x minus x bar whole square, and that is given as 130. And the next is the sum of product of deviations taken from mean. Sum of product of deviation. Now deviation of observation x from mean x bar is x minus x bar. For y is y minus y bar. Product means multiply x minus x bar and y minus y bar, and sum means sigma x minus x bar into y minus y bar. This is given as 115. Clear, students? Now what we have to do? Simply substitute these values in the formula. So again, in the sum we start with the regression line of y on x is y cap is equal to a plus bx. Substituting the values of means the values given in the data. After writing the formulas of b and a, this is common. Now here we will get 115 upon 130. Now this much I can leave as assignment. You can easily simplify with the help of calculator. And finally, to get a, we have a is equal to y bar minus bx bar. Y bar is how much? 100 minus whatever b we have got, 115 by 130, and x bar is 100. So simplify, this will give you a and this will give you b, students. Clear? So after dividing and writing the answer, you will get the values of constants a and b. And the last step, students, substitute these values of a and b in the regression line. Y cap is equal to a plus bx, students. We get the regression line of y on x. So this is how, students, we simplify and do the sums for regression line. So today my point was to demonstrate the application of first formula when mean x bar and y bar are integers, students. In the long sum also we would have done the same, students, but due to limitations of available space, students, I cannot do long sums. I cannot accommodate 10 columns in this small board. That is why for the time being, students, I am not doing any long sum. Clear, students? Now let us check, still we can do one or two short sums from section C. And one very important concept I want to explain for VSQ also from section B. Students, so pay attention. very important concept of VSQ from section B, and then I will come to say section C. So today in this lecture we are going to apply, students, all the concepts and basic formulas whatever we have done. Now students, in section B I think we have done up to VSQ 7. Yes, I think in the last lecture we have done up to VSQ 7. Now VSQ 8 I am discussing. This is based on the short note of method of least square. I told you to remember this in the last lecture we have discussed that regression line which we obtain on the scatter diagram. If the sample point is above the regression line, the value of error in estimation will be positive. If the sample point is below the regression line, the value of error in estimation will be negative, students. And if the sample point is on the line, then the value of error of estimation will be 0. I want to reiterate this. You check on your textbook page number 119. This paragraph is written below that scatter diagram. The error will be positive for points above the line. The error will be negative, students, for the points below the line, and the error will be 0 for the points on the line. So one has to be very careful in remembering this as a theory. So if we come back to our section B, VSQ 8, what is the value of error if a sample point is on the fitted line? On the fitted line, error 0. Above the fitted line, error positive. Below the fitted line, error negative. So this question 8 will have answer E is equal to 0. Now students, for the time being we cannot do questions 9 and 10 of section B, as that topic we have to still cover. Now 11, 12 and 13, students, are very important VSQs which I am explaining. Students, questions 11, 12 and 13 are very important VSQs. These are, you can say, some of the stereotype repeated questions in the board examination, but students, equally conceptual. So one has to be very perfect in understanding these questions. Now 11th question, if a regression line is y cap is equal to 31.5 plus 1.85x, estimate y for x is equal to 10. Okay students, now coming to section B. What is given in the 11th question? Regression line is given as section B, 11th question. The regression line is y cap is equal to 31.5 plus 1.85x. Estimate y. Find y when x is equal to 10. Now students, nothing can be easier than this. Estimate y for x is equal to 10. So what the steps are? Substitute x is equal to 10 in the regression line and find the estimate of y, which is dependent variable. So y cap is equal to 31.5 plus 1.85 into 10. So this is 31.5 plus 18.5. So this is 32 plus 18. How much? 50. That's all. Now this type of questions are very easy, students. You can easily understand. And conversely, for a given y, even we can estimate x. Such type of sums are not given in this new textbook. In old textbook we were given. Now students, for question 12 and 13 we have to understand one small concept. For that, say our regression line is y cap is equal to a plus bx. Now two examples I am citing. One is y cap is equal to 2 plus 3x and another is y cap is equal to 5 minus 8x. Very simple, but still you need to understand. Our regression line, students, of y on x is y cap is equal to a plus bx. In the first line, if you compare with a plus bx, a is 2 and b is 3. Yes or no? So here I am writing a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3. Here a is 5 and b is minus 8. Here it is 3. So here in a regression line, if your regression coefficient b is positive, then the value of correlation coefficient r will be plus 1. And in a regression line of y on x, if your regression coefficient b is negative, then students, the value of correlation coefficient r will be minus 1. So if I check the VSQ12, before checking VSQ12, once again I am reiterating. In a regression line, y cap is equal to a plus bx. If your regression coefficient b, mind you, b is called regression coefficient of line of y on x and b is also called slope of regression line of y on x. So if your regression coefficient b is positive, it indirectly implies r is plus 1. If your regression coefficient b is negative, it indirectly implies r is equal to minus 1. So now, if you understand this logic, your VSQ 12 and 13 requires no calculations. 12th question. If y and x have the relation y cap is equal to a plus bx and where b greater than 0, it means it is this scenario where b is positive. So directly I told you the value of correlation coefficient r will be plus 1. Perfect positive correlation. So in VSQ 12 the answer is r is equal to plus 1. They have asked then what is the value of r? So we can write, students, r is equal to plus 1. Now in VSQ 13, if y is equal to 5 minus 3x, what it is given, I am writing here, y cap is equal to 5 minus 3x. So a will be 5 and b is minus 3. If b is negative, just now I told you, the value of correlation coefficient r will be minus 1. So it indicates perfect negative correlation between the variables x and y. So indirectly, students, the sign of b and r, correlation coefficient, are related. If b positive, r is equal to plus 1. If b negative, then r is equal to minus 1. So very important concept, very important VSQ, students. Clear? So I think in section B, now we are left with only two questions, question 9 and 10. So very easily we can discuss this, students. Now I am doing MCQ 11 and 12, students. Pay attention, today's lecture is entirely devoted to sums. I am picking up the sums proportionate to the theories. So your homework, your work is to write the sums accordingly as I have taught. Don't worry, finally we will be doing each and every sum of all sections. So now I am focusing on MCQ 11 and 12. Section A. if the regression line of y on x is y cap is equal to 10 plus 3x, estimate y for x is equal to 20. Now this is already done, students. In VSQ11 we have done this. Students, in VSQ11 we have done this. So when x is 20, so y cap is equal to 10 plus 3 into 20. So 10 plus 60. So students, the answer is what? 70. Now nothing can be easier than this. The answer is 70. Now 12th, what is the value of byx if the regression line is 2x plus 3y minus 50 is equal to 0? Now pay attention. What we have to find is byx. Okay, the line is 2x plus 3y minus 50 is equal to 0. Now students, I told you in the regression y will come on the left and x will come on the right. So keep y on the left, transfer remaining terms on the right. So 3y is equal to 50 minus 2x. Divide by 3 to make coefficient of y 1. So y is equal to 50 by 3 minus 2 by 3 into x. Compare this with a plus bx. So a will be 50 by 3 and byx will be minus 2 by 3. So according to the option, the correct answer is C. Simple mathematics. First of all, keep y on the left, transfer the two terms on the right. To make coefficient of y1, divide by the coefficient of y. Here it was 3. So I have divided by 3. Suppose it would have been 5. Divide by 5. 8. Then divide by 8. Then compare this with a plus bx. So a is 50 by 3 and b is minus 2 by 3. That is our answer, students. So I hope in today's lecture you have enjoyed the sums. We have done the sums. We have done sums of selected formula. Refer the sums. Note down it on your own once in the fair book. And next lecture again, students, we will come back to the sums of second formula of B, which is n sigma xy minus sigma x into sigma y upon n sigma x square minus sigma x the whole square. That formula is used when x bar and y bar are not integers. Either one or both are not integers, students. The formula of A never changes. Study this lecture, learn basic formulas, learn and write the formulas again and again. Do the sums once, students. I assure you, you will understand. Thank you, students. We conclude the lecture. We will continue in the next lecture.